in the StarCraft days, it was a means to generate attention for yourself as a player when you weren't getting it, or you felt like you weren't getting it.
All right. So it's attention-seeking behavior broadcasted.
Yeah, you know. Well,
Interesting.
Honestly, it is a pretty five-head play, if I do say so myself.
I mean, that's why I got
You just noticed it, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You talked about it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I
For
mean,
longer than you would have. You know, like.
I mean, they are in this game, so we're probably going to talk about GuGer in secret, but whether we do it positively or not is something we're yet to find out, but something we have just found out are what the first few bans are going to be. Twisted Fate and Elise taken away by Team Dynamics, and SeolHaeOne Prince do get rid of a couple of 80 carries here in the Varus and the Senna. Absolutely no surprise that the Varus gets banned once again. We're expecting to never see Varus ever again.
Well,
it's sort of where I'm at.
Varus probably not ever really going to make it through. Now, again, I'm really hoping that we get to see a new bot lane matchup here today. So I would hope.
Yeah, so here we go. We're
Lock
gonna lock
it in.
in Ezreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Write that, drop that.
Oh, Aphelios. Okay. And he's being disabled, by the way.
Yeah.
But we don't care about that. We're
power.
waiting for Hybrid to lock in the Ezreal. The hard counter to
All right.
Aphelios.
Lock it in. Now, I've actually been pretty vocal about this on Twitter and elsewhere about Aphelios. We even talked about it on the Pog State.
Yep.
That thematically, he does have weaknesses.
Oh, absolutely. And
Terrain morphers, long range. Now,
I
if
love
they
how we're
pick-
talking about it. It just happens, you know.
So, okay, Ezreal and Yuumi come in. These are both on theme with the stuff that Aphelios hates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let's not round this out with a R3 melee champion, R4 melee champion.
Oh, it's going to be Nautilus.
Okay.
Nautilus into...
Oh, you mean for Dynamics?
Yeah, Dynamics.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm just going through down the line. And the next one is going to be a jungle pick. Let's have a look. Olaf. It'll be Olaf to deny Yuumi Olaf. What do you reckon?
Perfect. Honestly, couldn't have thought of anything brighter myself.
Oh, well, I'm just a really smart guy.
A little bit of a savant, yeah.
I'm hoping that Beyond is going to do something different. And Beyond does have a very wide champion pool. He could go towards something like a Graves, but...
There it is.
Obviously, I'd read the script.
Yeah.
I don't get the script that often, so I'm
I don't get it
I'm
anymore
abusing
either,
it.
honestly.
I apologize.
Kuzan has been lacking on getting the script, you know?
I would be very happy if SeolHaeOne Prince just picked Zoe here, because we get to talk about Team Rocket immediately.
They need to pick melee champions. Let's get Jarvan in here versus Aphelios.
Alawi.
Yeah, let's get Jarvan. I'm really looking for a Jarvan.
Rek'Sai.
Ooh. Right up my alley.
Rek'Sai. Let's go.
Come on.
It'll probably be
one time.
Oh, never mind.
Okay,
We got a LeBlanc.
well,
Never mind.
No, not that. All right, well.
Jesse just went a bit evil. That's
Yeah.
all right. That's all right.
That's totally fine. As Lissandra is going to be banned away, still is considered a pretty strong counter against LeBlanc. And Dynamics, I'm actually not even sure where they're going to go with their bans here because things are still wide open. We might just see a random Alawi get focused.
I actually think you just focus on Iksu's champion
because
pool.
there's so much magic damage on the side of SP right now. And Alawi obviously deals enormous amounts
of physical.
Now, this is one of those bans that it always confuses me, right? You have Aphelios right now. You're feeling pretty happy. You should want them to choose champions like Lee Sin and then just negate them in the later stages, especially because you have counterpick available to you in mid lane. You can really control the pacing of it. And with the Olaf, you're not really worried about any sort of loss of priority or anything like that. So Galio gets removed, another champion that is good against LeBlanc. We're probably not going to see Ryze or Malzahar or anything like them end up coming out, and there's the Alawi ban.
Yep, I like it. They got there in the end. And SeolHaeOne Prince, what are they going to go for? Looks like Flawless's Jarvan is being considered at the minute. And look, we're lazy today, aren't we? Just straight up reading off the script. Oh.
I can't, man. I can't.
I apologize, you guys.
It's going to be the death of me.
We should really try and lie to you about how much we know ahead of time about what's going to be happening in the draft. It's we didn't even need to talk about the fact that Rich is going to lock in the Aatrox.
The best part for me is that I'm saying it ironically.
Yeah,
of course they're going to go Jarvan here. You know?
Yeah.
What I like to roll the die. What makes the least sense? And I go with it.
Well, Cinder is also not surprising anyone if it's going to be locked in, but another one. The Pigeon Man in the mid lane. Very standard composition here coming out of Team Dynamics. And that's okay. You know, start the day with a very standard comp. I feel like the Olaf is pretty out of place in this comp. As the Zoe is the final switch, which does okay into LeBlanc.
This is where I really don't even... well, it's very awkward because you need a physical damage champion here. Because you just have so much magic. I mean, they might Volibear.
They
might actually Volibear. He's hybrid damage, but...
There it is!
Oh, man. Alright, so Volibear actually loses to Aatrox, but the thing is that pro players don't have a lot of games versus or with Volibear, so there's a lot of limited experience, and Aatrox has to play the matchup differently. Now, Rich, however, is sort of like an Aatrox one-trick, so I actually wonder how proficient he is on the matchup, and if he knows how to play it in a way that Volibear really can't survive, at least in terms of having control over the laning phase. But with Yuumi, it is scary later. However, Dynamics, I mean, they've been rewarded, right? We ironically said that they would pick melee champions that engage into Aphelios. What did they do? They picked melee champions that would engage into Aphelios. So here comes another Reddit thread as the coach is going to walk off the stage. Aphelios did nothing wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong. For 200 years, he was a saint. It's absolutely fine. As this is your very standard composition coming out of Team Dynamics. Not necessarily the most cohesive, but if you go down the tier list in each role, things are looking okay. Meanwhile, on the side of SeolHaeOne Prince, they do have the new and improved Volibear on the top side of the map. Yorick Burnison bringing down some of that thunder. As Flawless in the jungle on his Jarvan, Mickey on his LeBlanc, and we do have James and Meowth on the bottom side.
So I imagine that Dynamics, I mean, they're heavily favored. They had everything, or SP had a very strong R1 through R3. Ezreal, Yuumi, and LeBlanc was totally fine. But then they drafted two champions that really are going to pull the others down with them. This is like watching the Titanic sink.
Yeah.
Okay? And
I actually love this skin now.
I have no idea what SP are going to do in the later stages of the game, because now the Aatrox is sort of rewarded.
Well, at least ikssu can show Team Dynamics where they can park their aeroplane.
Now,
I think that's important.
I really like the, well, I mean, Aatrox probably isn't going to open anything else, but Doran Shield versus Volibear is nice. I'm curious to see if Rich intentionally takes Chain Lightning passives in order to heal himself.
Oh, again, that ward.
That ward is, honestly, that's
MVP.
Yeah, actually, it really is.
And you'd think that maybe Dynamics had have watched a VOD of last week.
Well,
as we've stepped away. We're on the Riot Rift this time.
Ooh.
It's been the LCK Rift for a while.
What's the Riot? Is there any differences?
See, I mean,
yeah, I noticed that.
I mean, the differences are the banners, I think. But other than that, I think sweepers have slightly less range, and that's why.
Honestly, it looks like is it Ogrimmar, the red?
Yeah, it is a bit Ogrimmar-ish. Yeah, and so maybe we've just dipped over to the Horde.
Yeah.
And based on the drafts, it's feeling like that. Let's be honest. Oh dear. Kuzan actually trading very nicely with Mickey here in the early game, but probably not something Mickey's going to worry about. Both of them popping their corrupting potions and just threading some needles pretty nicely here is this Zoe.
And you can see Olaf immediately just going for an invade. Flawless is going to use his sweeper, and now he seems very indecisive. It looks like he's looking to Sin. And honestly, you can't spell Sin without EQ, so.
There it is. You can actually. Sin doesn't have either of those letters.
Oh, it's silent.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Sinek.
Snack. And then
Snack. I see what you did there.
Caught me, actually.
Oh, man.
That's interesting. He's not walking up to get hit by Chain Lightning.
Strange.
So, yeah, I'm not totally sure what's going on there. And so Volibear, he's not actually going to go for a cheater recall either. So this is actually a very good lane state for Aatrox in the top lane. And you can see Aatrox, he has the second wind as well. And with Doran Shield, you should want to keep getting hit by Volibear's passive, because it will heal you.
Yeah.
So should constantly stay in range of that passive. But Rich, judging by just how the waves are going and what's happening, it looks like he's probably unfamiliar.
It is certainly looking like that. It is early days, though, and things are very even as the lanes do reset. Gonna have a look at this on a very interesting matchup here in the mid lane. Kuzan, when he was back on the Jin Air Green Wings, faced off against Mickey a bunch of times. It felt like feels to me like I've watched the Rocks Tigers matchup a few more times. That is what I'm familiar with when it comes to these two players. But when he was back on a Freaker, also faced off against Kuzan. Kuzan was 2 years on Jin Air, and Mickey played on Rebels Anarchy, actually, before they even turned into the Freaks. There's the flash. Beyond is going to get taken down very low, but the follow flash is there from Mickey, but he is going to go into his bubble as Kuzan picks up exactly what he wants to there, but does gather himself a flash as well. There's the Ignite, puts that one down, and there's the flash forward, and Rich fails the flash, as now the top laners are wandering after one another, and ikssu is not going to enter that brush. So,
it is a series of unfortunate events.
100%.
Oh, can Volibear get the E?
As there is the cleanse out from Kuzan. And yeah, not going to find the E there.
So there was a lot of mechanical blunders happening here by both sides, but SP does walk away with the first blood. And Zoe, on the recall, actually going to pick up Boots and Amp Tome. And so let's take a look at this. Kuzan, he has Proto Belt available. Now, Beyond should flash the knock-up. He gets chained, comboed by everything, ends up giving over the kill to Mickey. Now, Kuzan, he wants to pick up the flash, so the Proto Belt, not getting as much value, picks up the Ignite, and then the camera, like it did in the live game, did end up cutting to the top lane. Rich ends up failing his flash. And ikssu did not actually have the damage to kill him. Did not elect to keep chasing, even with the movement speed on the Q. However, in live, I mean, he is ahead in the CS department.
Yeah, things actually just fine for Rich, as it turns out. Neither of the top laners with their teleports or their flashes. But ikssu still feeling pretty comfy here. The Sky Splitter comes down, does buff up the Volibear, as Beyond is in exactly the position that he wants.
And Rich, I mean, he did manage to get that combo off right there. When you're playing Aatrox versus Volibear in this matchup, you never want to use...
He's dead, guys.
Yep, he's dead.
It's just how that one's going to go. You don't get quite enough of a shield from that one.
So in the Aatrox Volibear matchup, you never want to really use E offensively. You always want to save it for when Volibear tries to go for his Q and the pounce onto you. You can knock him up, interrupt, he'll get it back, it's fine. You chain Infernal Chains, and then he has to make a decision to either just get pulled back in or absorb your whole combo. And even if he trades back against you with his Storm Lightning, you're still going to end up winning the trade. And so Aatrox just has to play the matchup with a more defensive stance and just relying on autos and traditional Q spacing.
Yeah.
Than using his Umbral Dash to reposition it.
I mean, if you do that, it's funny, because he's like changed and also hasn't, because he's still extremely kiteable. So I'm not going to be able to talk about it. Mickey is going to get exhausted here as Kuzan finds the bubble. And there is no cleanse, remember, that is so much damage.
Oh!
Not going to quite pick up the kill, though, as Flawless comes in to save the day.
And so Mickey barely managing to live right there. Going to share a lot of EXP with Flawless. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, though, not a whole lot of action happening. Ezreal does have the Tear of the Goddess already complete. Yuumi with the Dark Seal and the Fairy Charm. Flawless just going to give away a control ward. And then, meanwhile, Aatrox yet again, I guess just respecting the Volibear. He has World Ender. I mean, Volibear does have his ultimate as well. Is just going to... What? I don't know what's going on anymore.
I guess he's scared of him jumping on his
tower. Let me break it down for you. Q, E, Q, W, Q from the Olaf, E by the Olaf into the Q from the Olaf. That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Damn. Yeah. You knew exactly what they all did. Whoa. I would never have known. Well.
Take it away, Out.
It certainly did not look like it was too difficult. And ikssu just running in there, hoping that the little Sky Splitter shield is going to be enough to allow him to win that matchup is something that I wasn't necessarily expecting to work. And as it turned out, it didn't. As first tower plate is going to go to the Aphelios in this lane. As hybrids looking to try and trade back. They do get a prowling. Nope, they don't get a prowling projectile. I just assumed Secret was going to land that one.
Well, the Aphelios and Nautilus, I mean, this is starting to enter the stage of the game where Ezreal, after the next reset, is going to be pretty comfortable for the remainder of the laning phase. GuGer going to go for a pretty big trade.
Yeah. Still has a bit of mana left as hybrid, so he should be fine. And in fact, it's kind of deceptive because he stacked up that tier relatively effectively. That mana pool is very high. So, as the dust settles, it's about a 1,000 gold lead here for Team Dynamics. And we knew that Aphelios is going to win. That's just what happens.
And Beyond's going to take this time now to solo the Rift Herald. And I really like what I'm seeing up here in top lane, as this is the first game of top Volibear. Historically, pre-rework Volibear had 2 wins and 7 losses in the jungle, 10 wins and 14 losses in the support role. And he was coming online as a counter to Yuumi. But in this matchup, there's 2 things I like seeing. I like seeing an Aatrox win it. And then the other thing is, well, hold on.
Well, there's the ulti out from ikssu, and Rich just presses his R button. That seems to be enough of a counter as GuGer not going to quite find that, but they do get the flash out of Mickey. Beyond's over here, clearing out a control ward. Flawless still lying in wait. As I mean, if you can say anything about Volibear, he at least looks amazing.
He does look cool. Personally, I'm not a very big fan of that skin, the police Volibear. It sounds cool, the animations, if you've ever played it, but I think his base skin is one of the best in the game. And then there's the defensive E positioning again. But the other thing I like seeing is that unlike the players in NA and EU, ikssu does seem to be going Gunblade. A lot of people building Trinity Force, and I'm not a Trinity Force fan.
Not a believer?
Don't like Trinity Force. I think it's really bad.
Well, it used to work, but you can understand why it doesn't now. There's Hybrid just trying his best to offer some poke back. It's just not working. It just feels like the Aphelios is doing exactly what he wants to in this lane. Even though there is now a Sheen built up by Hybrid on his next back. Flawless spots exactly where Beyond is as Kuzan comes over with a hijacked Ghost of the new and improved variety. Slight level advantage for Beyond. There's ikssu trapped underneath his turret, and this CS advantage is
just
really
getting
starting
bigger
to get
and
out of control,
And Rich is weaving in a lot of good trades. ikssu can't really keep up. He might cancel this recall. This recall might be fake because his TP is almost up. But no, he's going to actually channel it, maybe thinking that he needs it for bottom, but I'm not sure if it's going to be available. Beyond and Kuzan try to rotate down, but Dynamics are just in total control of this game.
And it feels a little bit like SeolHaeOne are in disarray.
Yeah.
As the Revolver, as we expected, going to be picked up here by ikssu as he wanders back towards top lane. deokdam, I mean, they're not necessarily trading better than the Ezreal Yuumi, but they're farming better.
Yeah.
And so actually, it just straight up doesn't matter.
And the scary thing is that in 45 seconds, Ocean Dragon, it's probably going to go over to Dynamics almost every single scenario that you would run from this game state. And then that's going to mean that they're threatening Soul Point in 10 minutes while having a better team composition. And there's a Volibear that is behind. So it's sort of like there's a 6v4 going on right now.
Yeah. And also, ikssu he takes a lot of damage because there's no defensive itemization at all. And so this is exactly what an Aatrox wants, actually.
Yes. And this is where it's really weird because I think versus Aatrox, you have to go Bramble first.
Yeah. Now, or at least an execution is calling.
One of those.
As there's the ulti out, Rich takes a bit of damage there, but he's looking just to trade. Flash has to come in from ikssu after he was the one instigating.
Yeah. And now Rich is almost back to being full HP, and Volibear
picks himself up a shield.
Yeah. Rift Herald summoned in mid lane. And it's going to be fun because we're in store for a lot of Volibear picks, and I'm excited to be able to talk to. I have like 160 games on him.
Damn, you've done some work.
Since the rework. So.
I mean, you do like bears. You are an Annie player, so obviously it's like playing Tibbers the whole time.
Is my mascot, okay?
Hey, that's true.
The stuffed teddy bear.
That's true.
It's, you know, just the thing. But
it all makes sense.
Itemization, I think that the champion is kind of complex in how he builds versus the field of champs in top. I think he has unique build paths for every matchup, which is interesting because we don't have a lot of champs that actually are a Build-A-Bear.
Yeah,
where you're
Build-A-Bear, I get it.
Where you're constantly itemizing differently for the matchups. And I can understand what ikssu is really trying to achieve, but if you rush Revolver, you rush Vamp Scepter, unless you get an edge early, you're never winning the trades against him. You need the Bramble Vest to stifle Aatrox in the early lane phase, and then just to provide you some durability. And I like how Rich played it out. Tier 2 boots early, and then just going into his future items. Looks like he's opting for maybe Death Stance first, and he really just dominated ikssu.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything ikssu can do in this lane now, especially when it's not underneath his turret, as the lane right now is completely equalized. deokdam there happily denies a cannon minion before smashing his wave down in pure LCK fashion. It's very warm here in Korea at the moment, so freezing is not something we're going to do. Nor is it something that they necessarily need to at the moment. Keeping on the pressure does make some sense, and collecting these turret plates is a good idea. Hybrid's doing what he can to avoid that. He's gone for a very defensive card, as Arcane Shift is very good. A decent dredge line there from GuGer to show that he's got his eye in. Yeah, Iceborne Gauntlet already completed before the Mana Muse, but very close to putting that item together as well.
And here comes another roam. So, well, it's not even a roam. Laning phase is over as soon as the turret dies. But
yep, this is just the dive as GuGer down to about half. I think he's going to come in, try to save his teammates. Doesn't get the stun on the chains, but the damage has been done here, guys. Dynamics do take down the outer turret bottom lane and just continue to win in every possible lane without necessarily getting too many kills. It's just the pressure is on.
Yeah, I mean, every single lane is winning. They ended up getting, I believe, 10 turret plates or 9 turret plates total. Dynamics. And every single lane just won. I mean, you have a lane kingdom happening up in top lane, and again, really happy to see it. Unfortunate, I don't know if ProView exists right now. I know that ProView is supposed to be down in other regions. I don't know if LCK still has it, but
I think LCK is a little bit of a different situation because it's independent, like it's a 5G exclusive thing. So I don't really know too much about what the state of it is at the moment.
You know about Shanghai?
What? Probably not, I guess. I didn't even know what word you just said.
It's a type of rock.
Ah, right. like graphite? I know graphite isn't a rock, but it's got a cool lattice structure. Do you know what I know about? I know about pod racing.
Okay.
That's what I know about.
All right. Tell me about it.
I've been going back to my roots. Star Wars Pod Racer was re-released on Nintendo Switch. It was my 3rd game I ever owned on the N64. Very, very exciting.
That was a good game. That really was a good game.
I like the old, the like customizing your racer aspect and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool.
Okay.
You know, and you can collect new ones and things like that. It's just good stuff.
The Star Wars games used to be really, really good. I'm not sure about any of the recent ones, but there was also the Jedi power battles that you could play with a friend.
Yep.
You ever play that one?
And also there was what was it, Shadows of the Empire?
Yeah.
That game was so good. The original Hoth battle before they redid it in, what was it? Rogue Leader. Rogue Leader.
Yeah.
Because Rogue Squadron was the OG. That was the best. Anyway, I digressed pretty heavily, largely because the game has certainly not looked like something that SeolHaeOne Prince have much of a chance of coming back into unless they really do change how they're going to play.
The thing is that even, I mean, the next Infernal Dragon is going to be the closest point that they ever are, because if you look at the item breakpoints with the way that Dynamics accelerated in this game, what's going to happen is that SP is going to be at their 1 core item basically across the board. And right now, Dynamics are going to be at 1.5 core items. So this is going to be the most achievable victory that they can get. But 5.5, 6 minutes into the future from now, Dynamics is going to be at 2 core versus SP is 1.5. Which is going to be an insufferable breakpoint to try to fight back against. And that'll be Soul Point. So this is really where the game's decided here. Take it away.
Olaf is going to go golden as ikssu. About half health at the moment, but just popped by the Zoe. Meanwhile, Aphelios has been taken down, and that means that there is a chance here for SeolHaeOne. A fantastic dredge line as Flawless limps away from this fight, but Hybrid's not going to be so lucky. And Dynamics are now going to put down Shirley and see whether they can continue pressing this lead forward.
And they're going to end up using this Riptail. They're going to...
sleepy times for Mickey,
She's
but
so
it looks
tired
like
she can't
Infernal
even
Drake.
go back. All right.
Oh, it's a double charge. That is
Well, I'm not sure if that flash was worth from Kuzan. That was his normal flash, right?
yes,
I believe.
yes, indeed.
And so now they're going to get the Infernal Dragon. Now this is going to be pretty poggers. Let's take a look at this. 106 on Olaf to 110, almost half a longsword. So not really a lot of help for him. He's building Cinder Hulk and Pure Tank, but
Yeah, I think that Rich probably looking a little bit better.
Yeah.
And Aphelios is also going to feel good about that one.
And yeah, we just take a look at how this happened, and honestly, LeBlanc showing Aphelios what 200 years can be like, as then this was honestly a really nice attempted disengage by SP.
Yep.
But Dynamics just really quick to react. They're so far ahead. Now they have the Infernal, and the problem is that at Soul Point, they're going to be up the core item. So I can't imagine a world where they end up winning from this point. I think this game is looking very doomed. Volibear is useless, and this is the thing I unfortunately have to tell you, Atlas, is that I think that we're going to see a lot of Volibear picks, and the champion he's a hot mess.
Well, it's looking like a hot mess in this game, and maybe the rest of the teams are not going to be going to risk it in the first week of his availability. I mean, if anyone was going to play it, it was going to be ikssu, right? 100%. And I think that's fine, unfortunately. Now, I hope he doesn't play it in game 2.
Get the Bramble Vest now.
I know, right? I did see that. I thought that's what you were going to talk about. No, that's just where things get really, really unfortunate.
Well, the Oblivion Orb was picked up by Zoe, and I see a Blasting Wand, and it's making me a little bit afraid. But nonetheless, Black Cleaver is being picked up on Aatrox. Warmog's already complete on Olaf. And then he's just going to try to get to the Giant's Belt, but the next team fight is going to be unwinnable by SP. They're down 4,500, but that's not the real problem. I mean, you factor in the Infernal Drake amplification to the stats, and then you factor in the core item recipe that they're going to end up being up. So the only way that SP win this is if somehow Hybrid.
Yeah, he's going to have to be a complete hero, but right now he's only got 2 items. He really wants Death Dance to really be able to stand up. With Team Dynamics, deokdam even has a Hex Drinker to keep himself alive when Mickey dives on him, and it's likely that he will be able to survive for a lot longer than he did in the previous team fight. But I think the Blasting one's actually fine, right? Like, if they win a fight in 2.5 minutes, then they probably win the game. And so completely Morellonomicon, deny a bit of the Zoomies healing, and Bob's your uncle walk away with a victory for Team Dynamics, which actually means a lot for the standings, especially for a new team.
Yeah.
They're freshly promoted here in the summer season. But this is just a crushing effort thus far.
Yeah, it really
I think they've taken every objective in comparison to 0 from SeolHaeOne Prince's side. So both of the Rift Heralds, they've taken 3 Drakes and they've taken 4 turrets. And SP just haven't been able to get out of their side of the map.
And at this point, it looks like SP are, I mean, they're just going to try to siege this mid-tier 1 turret. They have Flawless attached with Yuumi on the right-hand side. Now deokdam's going to actually walk up as the cannon was getting low, but a lot of chip damage by Hybrid. I just don't understand in what world does Dynamics really find a way to botch this and throw it all away.
We've been surprised before. But look, I'm not sure whether that's going to happen either. I mean, have a look at the items. Morellonomicon just completed in time for this Infernal Drake. Not necessarily the greatest news, but does help against the Yuumi. But I'm looking at that Black Cleaver that Rich has just done as well. Yeah. That is a lot of power.
Hex Drinker and Zeal for Aphelios. Even though it's not an entire core item completion, the Hex Drinker is massive.
Yeah.
Against SP's team composition. So 50 seconds until that dragon. I'm actually curious if maybe deokdam can get enough gold to complete to an item if they can give him some resources. Probably not. They're just going to go and clear out vision. They're going to take that Scryer, maybe even the Blast Plant as GuGer just trying to place down some wards. Rich on the Prestige Edition Aatrox is going to be clearing out some of the wards here.
Yep. Also spots Flawless, who will take a Paddle Star for his trouble. Beyond down to half health. not with too much recovery available from this particular composition. There's Ikssu on the flank, but Kuzan's going to be here. It's a good knocker. Blast Cone can be utilized, but it's not going to work. Kuzan just pops him, and I have no idea what Ikssu was trying to do there. But dying probably wasn't it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. That's a great hook from GuGer as well. Flawless going to go down very, very low. Has to get himself out of there. The Ignite skill just flashes on over. Secret now jumps onto Hybrid. This guy is the one that needs to win them the game as the final chapter comes in. Fair bit of damage onto Rich, but he is safe for the moment. And Kuzan picks up a flash, decides to not invest it. As Mickey gets spotted, we'll have to go the heck out of there.
And I really like what Dynamics are doing right now. You can see the spam pings onto the Infernal Soul. I feel like if the letters following the D were RX, we would actually see a Baron attempt rather than getting the Infernal Soul. So, always nice to see this. Volibear, I've never seen a bear so happy to run towards his death as he was trying to make something happen.
It's just because, you know, they're forged in battle. These armored bears, and they do. It's like sort of the Viking thing. Can't get to Valhalla. No, I'm not entirely sure. Ikssu certainly making a mistake with that particular rotation. It looks to me like SeolHaeOne Prince understand that there is not too much hope.
I like that Rich knew the exact range of everything and where Jarvan would end up being. That was nice. As SP, I mean, they were in full-on retreat. There's no way to win this. And I want to take this point, or I want to take this moment to really stress that this is going to be yet another chalked up Ezreal v Aphelios.
Yeah,
it had nothing to do with Ezreal Aphelios. And honestly, it almost had nothing to do with the team composition either. Aphelios really didn't get to do Aphelios things, but it doesn't change the fact that a team willingly, after opening R1, R2, R3, Ezreal, Yuumi, LeBlanc, then said, you know what, Aphelios, here's some melee champions.
Interruption there onto Flawless. He is close enough to his inner turret to survive this. But remember, guys, this is Infernal Soul. And team dynamics are extremely strong at this point in time. 4.5 minutes until that Elder Drake spawns, but it's only 25.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah. Not totally sure what's going to end up happening. You have Aatrox looking like he's coming in here for a flame. And
Trouble Bubble comes down as Mickey takes a while to get home there as Hybrid's down to about 0 health. And in goes the Olaf. Hybrid just dies as an afterthought there to Rich as Moonlight Vigil would have tagged him if he had have stayed alive, but over the wall goes the Aatrox, and this is why we talk about Rich as one of our better Aatrox players in the LCK. Yes, he has a shallow champion pool, but this is one of the champions in it.
Maybe they'll ban it one time. Perhaps. You know, maybe it'll end up getting banned.
Or maybe they just pick it away, you know? Or maybe they pick a champion that does well in Aatrox.
Oh!
Really sure.
Volibear ulted!
Comes on in there, yeah, exactly right. He's going to do a fair bit of work, but flashes out, and he's going to die. 200 years, take that one, my friend. That is going to be a dead Aphelios, so that must have felt cathartic, but a double kill in for the J4 is not going to change the result of this game, as Dynamics at 27 minutes will be likely on the dot. Unless they do just back away. Yep, they get rid of both of these Nexus turrets and then decide that one lone Ezreal is probably going to be able to kill 3 people. So they do leave that one up just for a little while longer. Can't have too much of a fast win time, LS.
All right. Yeah, we're not trying to outdo Dom one here.
No.
Not what they're going for. As it looks like they're just going to play it very safe. They can just reset, and honestly, they could run it up mid, and there's no way to lose the team fight. There's really no way to lose the team fight. Now, you want to be really careful, okay? And you want to have a true LCK experience. Well, first, what you're going to want to do is have the World Ender cast Undertow, tag the Ezreal, and honestly, Yuumi does not look like a balanced champion. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay?
Yeah, gonna need a buff, I think.
Yeah. As Flawless does manage to get away at the very end. Now, Volibear coming in here. Look at the amazing sustain here. Ends up ulting. Does pretty much nothing. And Aphelios ends up dying. Otherwise, the game surely would have ended. Dynamics just going to get the Baron and then end the game shortly thereafter.
Yep, GuGer and Rich just patrolling, making sure that their bodyguards, as Beyond is going to land that smite very nicely. Rich, you can happily face check this one, because actually it's more like they're face checking, not you. As Mickey not going to be able to find any flanks just here. But Kuzan, thankfully for Mickey, is not going to be able to tag him with that trouble bubble. 8,000 gold, largely irrelevant. There are no Nexus turrets, and Dynamics just need to move towards the enemy Nexus and take that most important 50 gold.
And we can see Aatrox, I mean, he's coming in there as well. You can see Mickey looking for a flank, but not really going to find anything.
Yeah, Dredgeline doesn't find the mark, but just looking to hold on to some of these minions. deokdam has exactly the weapons that he wants to try and do battle safety. And yeah, the open Nexus situation is going to force this engage. As Cataclysm comes down, you've got the ulti out of ikssu, but they're just too far behind. They had to make a last-ditch effort. It was going to not work, but they still had to do it. I'm glad they did.